slides always for you.
Fuck it up!
Okay, so my name is 25. This is Martin, Colin, Chris, and Jason, and our project is on Cornell West.
Nice.
And this is a great picture of him. What you thinking about? You know, philosophy stuffs. His life. He was born Cornell West was born in Oklahoma and grew up in California. His dad was a construction worker, which means, you know, he built stuff. And his mom was a teacher. During his life, he walked in a lot of civil rights movements, and even a few times he was put in a timeout for being bad. He went to Harvard and graduated with a magna cum laude, which is pretty much like super A+ smart guy. And later he would get his PhD, which means he is a doctor from Princeton. The Burlington Chronicles. The Burlington Chronicles is the name of a documentary that was in about the Matrix trilogy movies. Whole time. Yeah. And he's really well known in the entertainment business. He was in the movie The Matrix. He's been on TV, and he even has his own band. Be Still Your Hearts. There's a link.
I pledge allegiance to the United States of Conscious Uprising and the Republic for which it stands. To the instruction of sterilized Mendez.
It's a warning. It's not very good.
No. To the aims of memory in your body. To the structure of justice and the rhythm of love. I pledge allegiance to making love. Creativity's invitation to celebrate. I pledge allegiance to uprising. Rise up. Rise up.
Okay, so from that first part, you can tell, first of all, that they're pretty bad. And secondly, he's taking his Cornell West, who does not really appear often in the actual group, but he does. He's the one that funds them, so that's why they have the name Cornell West Theory. And in their songs, they have a couple songs. None of them are very good, but they really talk. They really talk about most of them are about strong political views, and they really reflect how Cornel West views them, which views politics, which we'll get to on the later slide. Right. These are some quotes he wrote. From the bottom left one, "Living and Loving Out Loud" is his autobiography. The middle one, American Invasion of Philosophy, is America is growing up, and during that time they pretty much dodged a bullet about philosophy. It's kind of self-evident from the book. And the last one, Race Matters, is Cornel West's view on how African Americans in the world are in America are just looked down upon constantly throughout history.
Alright, some of his influences, he learned a lot about what he talked about from pragmatism and transcendentalism. And pragmatism was a new way in learning things through doing things over and over. And it's kind of like how your mom tells you not to touch the stove because it's hot, but you keep trying to anyways just to find out for yourself. And transcendentalism is thinking that all people are born good, but then eventually things lead them to become bad. And conflict theory is about different classes, but not in school. There's two big classes. There's one of them is the rich who have a lot of money, and the poor who obviously don't have much money at all. And they don't like to share, so the poor and the rich are always arguing, and people are arguing about how money should be distributed. And he's one that thinks everybody should have the same amount instead of some people holding all the richness over the others.
Alright, as for metaphysics, Cornel West, he was Baptist for his religion. What Baptist basically means is that he believes that people are the way they are because that's just how God made them. Face. And we didn't have much on the slide, so we added a giraffe.
Ethics.
Alright, West thinks that everyone should be kind to each other and that we all need to play nicely. We're going to try a project with you guys that involves coloring.
You want to pass out these pictures real quick? Scotty. Mr. Phone. John Brown. Thank you. And,
Tyler, let me see the pictures.
look at you guys' crayons. Yeah. Crayons are fun. Yeah, look at that. United States of America. This one for you.
Spider-Man.
Scotty.
Like the variety you get in different types of colors in a crayon, that's what he believes in as America. That's how he views America. So it's not, you won't get a crayon of all whites or all blacks. And his broke.
No, mine's
Yes,
all
you guys
orange.
color in real quick? Or you're like a little bit colored in and you guys will show the class what you've done.
There's only one crayon.
He's coloring the lines.
Regular, that Tyler.
Too
To
much
show how hard it is to color with one type of crayon, which is what he believes in.
I'm almost up.
So, why don't you guys go ahead and show what you've got so far? That was fast.
It's a work of art, Tony. Calm down.
Glasses.
I don't know, Scout is almost done.
And now, what if I were to give Rob the rest of the crayons? Now he's mind blown. And in a way, this shows how Cornel West thinks of America and how America, as a crayon box, if white people are like above everybody else, then you only have white crayons. If you have one color, you can't really make a good picture. But if you had that diversity that Cornel West wants, you can have a glorious picture such as Rob's is coming out to be. I like mine.
Sounds like favoritism.
I don't know. You want me to call it Alex?
Good job, Scott.
It says after the melted pot.
Let's see your stuff.
Sorry, I can't.
It all mixes to brown.
I'm sure they're going to understand what that means.
Just running out of ideas here. So
Existentialism. When West talks about existentialism, he talks about a thing called the other look. And the way this works is that there's one group they think they're higher up than another group, and because of that, they don't let them have fun. They don't let them playing their reindeer games and whatnot. Another form of existentialism is angst. And West talks about how African Americans in the past they were treated badly, and the way angst works is that from what they experience, they carry along with them through generations. So he says that since the African Americans were oppressed in the past, that they feel oppressed even now. empiricism is learning stuff through experience. And Mr. West, he had a very weird comment on this. He compared empiricism with the attacks on 9/11, which we all know were not very good at all. And this quote, unsafe, unprotected, subject to random violence and hatred, is an example of, he said, of how white Americans are almost getting a taste of their own medicine and getting a glimpse of how African Americans feel every day of their lives in America.
So, Cornel West was a big part of the Democratic Socialists of America. Means he's a socialist and a conflict theorist, which we talked about on the other slide. And these are all people that are about making like smart plans to help America, to help us grow and come out of the poverty that some people are in and the inequality of wealth. And they promote equality in all aspects of life, in race as well as economics.
Cornel West had a very interesting interactions with President Obama, who's president now. While he was still running to be president, Cornel West was standing behind him very strongly with his ideas. And when he became president, that was all cool and whatnot. But after Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize, Cornel West had to stand up and talk because he thought that it was silly that Obama, who was supposed to be president during fighting time, had just won a peace prize. Now, Cornel West refers to Obama as a, quote, black mascot of Wall Street oligarchs and a black puppet for corporate plutocrats. Not to be mistaken with Pluto cats. These are some videos that we have. This is a
left and right.
First of all, this is an example of Cornel West along with his esteemed colleague, Tavis Smiley, and they're on the Bill O'Reilly show. And you should listen to the beginning part. They're talking about economics and the bank, which, as we know, Cornel West is very strong on it being equal, but they're saying it's not. So we'll see what they have to say.
Arresting protesters left and right. Now the talk on Fox News is that it's costing taxpayers money for police to do their job. Not one bankster, not one bill. They can arrest hundreds of protesters, but not one banker has gone to jail to pay for his crimes.
Because they didn't violate any laws, Tavis. They caught.
Oh! How do you know? How do you know that? There's been no investigation of all the predatory and
wait a minute. Hold on.
Manipulation, insider trading. Why would you say something like that, brother? You don't have the evidence. You don't know.
It's like they planned this. She missed it. She missed it.
Tavis, they caught.
How do you know? How do you know?
As you can see, Cornel West is, people call him a very strong leader, and I guess his loudness is his enthusiasm is a great characteristic that he has. This second link is an interview with Craig Ferguson. And they're talking about, well, there's a very interesting story that Cornel West talks about. I had to really quick.
Listen, for me, one of the wonderful stories in American history is the relation between Abraham Lincoln and William H. Johnson. Abraham Lincoln had a black valet, right? And he and the black valet went to Gettysburg all by themselves with his son. They both were sick. The valet, when he got back to D.C., he died. And Lincoln took money out of his own pocket, had space in Arlington Cemetery, and had his own personal burial. William H. Johnson, citizen, 1864, before the war. Before the end of the war, yeah. Born a slave. Yeah. Now what is that? Abe Lincoln, white brother who would support colonization. Black people moving outside the United States. He didn't think that America could create a multiracial democracy for a good while. He changed his mind. The greatness of Lincoln. Eric Foner and others have made this point. He changed his mind.
Greatness, being able to change your mind. And that's courage, I think.
Courage when it's for the good. You don't want to change your mind like Thomas Watson, who began multiracial organizing among black and white farmers and ended up Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah, we don't want that kind of change in mind, you know.
Right there, that story about Abe Lincoln, and also the story about Thomas Watson is it's a great example of how Cornel West is really knowledgeable on his subject. And in this case, it's about his thoughts on equality between African Americans and white Americans. This is the end of our presentation, and this is I think this picture in particular is my favorite because it shows some really memorable futuristic features of Cornel West that people know him by, such as his large black hipster glasses and his gap, which, keep in mind, he probably has a lot of money, so he could probably pay to get that fixed. But he keeps it there because that's what people know him by.
Signature look.
It's a signature.
Fro.
That fro too. Love that fro.
What do you want us to do with the crayons? Do you want the crayons back?
I like the crayons back. Those are mine.
Keep the pretty pictures.
Can I throw them, please?
That's not true.
What?
All right. Any questions? Questions from the group? Alex?
Do you think, before the Nobel Peace Prize thing, do you think Cornel West originally supported Barack Obama just because he's African American or because of his actual politics?
Well, I think it was I think it was more of his policies, just because well, I guess I see how you could argue that since he was all talking about the equality, but I personally think that it was more towards the policies.
Well, I saw an interview where it said that he thought Obama was more about peace, and he wanted to change everything in the government. But once he became president, he's known as the president of the war. Since there is a war going on, so he changed his mind about it.
Anybody else?
Do you actually remember?
Sure.
Yeah, change my mind. Yeah, just go.
Yeah. So is he socialist or communist? I mean, I think it's socialist, but
He's a socialist.
he is socialist.
Yeah.
If you could, you don't have to film me. If you could leave these guys with one kind of main point, what's he all about? If you had to sum it up in a paragraph or less.
I can sum it up in a word. I'd say Cornel West is all about equality over everything. Race,
I want one word.
money. He's all about equality.
10 plus.
All right, good deal. Thanks, guys.
I would love to find that word.